So is this the All Blacks team that will defeat Ireland in the World Cup quarter-final in Paris on Saturday night? We will wait and see. We know how good they are and how good they have been in the pool stages. But that's what I'm talking about in this video, and you can have your say on that very question in the comments section down below. Let me know, what do you make of this team? A few interesting areas. No Mark Talea, I'll get into that. Dane Coles as the replacement hooker, that's interesting as well. So different bits and bobs to get into. Make sure you like the video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Let's get into it. So this is the team that Ian Foster has gone for. As I say, no Mark Talea. I'll get onto that in just a moment. No Cam Roigard as well, which is a little bit harsh, I think, on the replacement scrum half. But do you know the two things that stick out to me when I look at this team selection and when I think about this game, Ireland against the All Blacks? Front row is one of those, because I think that is the part of the team that the All Blacks have developed and progressed the most in over the last year to 18 months or so. In that if you look back on the series when Ireland went to New Zealand, won the 3-game series 2-1, the front row is now very different. In particular, the props are now very different compared to where they were at that point in time. And that's been a real focus, I think, for the All Blacks. I know the coaching setup is different as well in terms of Jason Riles coming in, Joe Schmidt coming in. But the props in particular, I think, is different now for the All Blacks and will be a different challenge for Ireland. And what happens in that area of the game, what happens in the kind of front five of the scrum, or the front five of the forward pack, is going to be crucial, I think. And that was one of my main takeaways when I looked at this team. That's the area where this is a different New Zealand side in terms of personnel compared with where they were a year ago. They've also developed as a team compared with where they were as a year ago. I think their forward pack is better. They have developed their cohesiveness, their various different combinations have developed as well. But that's an area that I think is crucial. The other thing that strikes me when I look at this team is experience on the bench. And I mentioned Dane Coles instead of Samson Takiaho. I think that's going to be a selection that has quite a lot of All Blacks fans possibly scratching their heads. To me, it comes down to experience. And it comes down to experience in that position, and I think it comes down to experience on the bench. If you want to look at Whitelock and Papali'i, Christie gets the nod over Roigard, not vastly more experience, but still more experience. I think Ian Foster has looked at this game and looking at the final 20 minutes to 15 minutes of it and thinking that having players on the bench who are more experienced to come off, hopefully with the game possibly going either way, is absolutely vital, particularly given the kind of atmosphere and occasion and the importance on it from an emotional standpoint from the Irish point of view. So I think that's the reason for maybe some of those selections on the replacements. You can let me know what you make of it, whether you think it's ridiculous, whether you think that maybe it makes sense, but that's my reasoning for it. And actually it's something that I watched a little bit of the breakdown, the Sky Sports, the breakdown over in New Zealand. They always put it up on YouTube. And so John Kerwin said something similar actually in terms of Sam Cane starting. And you look at Sam Cane, and I know many All Blacks fans in the comments will be saying that he shouldn't be there, he shouldn't be starting. This is a huge game for the New Zealand captain. I think he will have a good game. You look back on that series that I've mentioned already when Ireland beat New Zealand and Peter O'Mahony saying to Sam Cane that he was just words to the effect of he was just a rubbish Richie McCaw. You look back on the World Cup semi-final 4 years ago where Sam Cane didn't start that match. And I know people have said since that they've been lacking experience, and that was part of the reason that actually they missed Sam Cane. But he starts here. So experience, leadership, all those things I think you can see in this selection from Ian Foster and from the All Blacks. Let's get on to the wing though. Leicester Fainga'anuku starts in place of Mark Talea. Mark Talea apparently breached team protocol, missed a curfew is what I've seen the reason for him not being part of the squad. And look, you kind of have to back the coaches in this situation to make the correct call. It completely depends, I think, on how bad the breach was. If it was only by 5 or 10 minutes or so and he was just a bit late, he lost track of time, we don't know the details of it, I'm speculating, but it has to be pretty serious to not pick him for a game of this magnitude. And I know that Leicester has been excellent in the pool stages, and in an attacking sense, he's been incredibly exciting. I just wonder what it does to the defensive situation for the All Blacks on the wings against an Ireland team that we know are so strong in attack, particularly when they get front foot ball, and whether it's a slightly weaker selection from that point of view. But I'm presuming it is serious enough for Mark Taylor not to be involved at all. But that is a big, big call, don't you think? Let me know what you make of it. Do you think it's too harsh? I know Leicester's been excellent. I'd have thought he might be on the bench. I've mentioned Roygaard already. I think I've been really impressed with him. And you look at Aaron Smith coming towards the end of his career, Roygaard looks like the more natural progressor to him, in my opinion. But they've gone with Christie on this occasion. And obviously Damian McKenzie on the bench as well, who's been brilliant. I said after the Italy game, was it the Italy game? No, Uruguay game, their final game in the pool, that I expected Damian McKenzie probably to be on the bench, as brilliant as he is. How good an option, though, is he to come in towards the end of the match and try and exploit whatever is on offer in terms of the game maybe breaking up. I don't know if it necessarily will, because these sides are so fit, so good. But even so, just the quality of that player to come off the bench, I think is a really exciting thing. So those were kind of my general thoughts on this team. As I say, the different front row I think is key and is fascinating for how it pans out. And that experience coming off the bench, I think, is a reason that the All Blacks have gone to that sort of selection. We'll see if it pays off. We'll see if it's the right decision. But what do you make of it? Is this the All Blacks team that can beat Ireland? I think based upon what we've seen in this World Cup, they're capable of beating Ireland. Whether they can get themselves on the front foot and give that back line, who have been so explosive and so impressive in the tournament, if they can give them the front foot ball to cause damage, then that's crucial. And also, as I said in my video the other day when I was looking at the Ireland team, I still think Jordie Barrett, that matchup with Bundee Aki, I know it's just not on Jordie Barrett, it's always a bit silly really when you pick one-on-one matchups with rugby how it is now, but stopping Bundee Aki, who has been able to get Ireland on the front foot so consistently, I think is going to be absolutely crucial. So look, I think it's a strong All Blacks team. There are some big selections in there with no Mark Taylor and no Cam Roygaard, possibly Dane Coles being selected as the replacement hooker as well. So can they get the job done? They can. It's going to be a fascinating, fascinating game in Paris. I can't wait to be there. I'm going to be there. I'll do a video after the match at the Stade de France. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. Make sure you like the video as well. And I'll see you in the next one.